They say the American Revolution was about freedom, about standing up to tyranny. But what if the story we've been told is only half the truth? Behind the soaring speeches and famous portraits were brutal betrayals, untold heroes, and myths carefully crafted to shape a nation's identity. Now, Ken Burns returns this time, not to glorify the past, but to uncover it. This is the American Revolution you never learned in school. The revolution didn't begin with muskets and flags in 1776. It started with resentment, hit taxes, and silent resistance years before a single shot was fired. After the French and Indian War, Britain was in debt. To pay for it, they turned to the colonies. The Stamp Act of 1765 wasn't just a tax, it was a message. Your subjects, not citizens. The colonies pushed back. Pamphlets circulated. Merchants boycotted. The seeds of rebellion were planted not on battlefields, but at printing presses and protest meetings. Then came the Boston Massacre. March 5th, 1775 dead. Dozens of witnesses. And one powerful image, crafted by Paul Revere to stir outrage. The event was used as fuel. Truth was manipulated. This wasn't misinformation, it was early American propaganda. By the time of the Boston Tea Party in 1773, it was clear. The colonies were not just angry, they were preparing for a break. When war finally arrived, it wasn't just white men marching into battle. The revolution's forgotten soldiers were Black Americans, native tribes, and immigrants, many fighting for a freedom they'd never receive. Roughly 5,000 African Americans fought for the Continental Army. Many believed that service might earn them liberty. Most were wrong. Others joined the British, who promised emancipation. Lord Dunmore's proclamation in 1775 offered freedom to any enslaved person who fought for the crown. Native Americans were caught in the crossfire. Some tribes supported Britain, hoping to stop colonial expansion. Others allied with the rebels, hoping for recognition. They all lost. After the war, they were pushed west, erased from treaties, and their loyalty forgotten. Women, too, played vital roles, not just as nurses or caretakers, but as spies, messengers, even soldiers disguised as men. Yet, after the war, their contributions were buried under silence. Paul Revere's ride is legendary. But Revere didn't ride alone. Dozens of riders spread the alarm that night, their names largely forgotten. Why? 'Cause legends are easier to teach than facts. One name, one ride, one story, clean, simple, heroic. Ken Burns explores how early leaders used storytelling to unite the colonies. The revolution needed heroes, not humans. So flaws were buried and history was edited. Even the Declaration of Independence left things out. Jefferson's original draft condemned slavery. That line was removed to preserve unity among the colonies. The founders knew the power of myth. They didn't just fight a war, they wrote the story of it in real time. And in doing so, they created a national identity built more on ideals than reality. George Washington is often portrayed as invincible, stoic, noble, a born leader, but Burns digs deeper. Washington made serious mistakes, At the Battle of Long Island, he nearly lost the entire war in a single day. His army dwindled, supplies were scarce, desertion was rampant. Yet, he held the ranks together, not through brilliance, but endurance. His decision to cross the Delaware on Christmas night in 1776, it wasn't just bold, it was desperate, but it worked, and it became legend. In truth, it was a calculated risk that could have ended in disaster. Washington understood symbolism. He knew he was more than a general, he was becoming the face of the revolution. His letters reveal a man tormented by doubt, politics, and pressure. Yet, he refused to quit. And that persistence carried the army on a cause forward. We like to think of the American Revolution as a local fight, but it was anything but. France saw an opportunity to strike at Britain and took it, with money, weapons, and 12,000 troops, they turned the tide at Yorktown. Spain and the Dutch Republic contributed funds and strategy. Even faraway Russia offered support through diplomacy and trade. And in 1791, inspired by the ideals of the American and French revolutions, enslaved Africans in Haiti launched their own revolt. They would succeed, forming the first Black Republic. But their fight was ignored by the American founders. Why? Because their revolution challenged America's slave-owning elite. To acknowledge Haiti was to confront hypocrisy. And so, the revolution remained American. Its global allies pushed into the background. The war ended in 1783. A new nation was born, but not everyone was free. Slavery persisted for another 80 years. Native tribes continued to be displaced, betrayed, and exterminated. Women still couldn't vote or hold office. Many Revolutionary War veterans died poor, abandoned by the country they fought to build. The Constitution didn't guarantee freedom for all. It preserved the power of white, landowning men while promising liberty as an aspiration, not a reality. Ken Burns forces us to ask, was the revolution about freedom, about control? Did it start a true democracy, or simply shift power to a new elite? The American Revolution was messy, complex, and painfully human. It wasn't a straight line toward liberty, yet was a jagged path paved with sacrifice and contradiction. Ken Burns doesn't give us heroes. He gives us people, flawed, courageous, and often forgotten. And in doing so, he reminds us that history isn't just something we remember. It's something we must constantly question, because only by seeing it clearly can we truly call ourselves free. And this is the real story of the American Revolution.